Dark City, 20 Secrets They Tried to Hide. It looked like just another sci-fi mystery, shadowy alleys, lost memories, and a city trapped in perpetual night. But Dark City was far stranger and far riskier than anyone realized. Its director battled a nervous studio, actors wrestled with surreal dialogue, and behind the camera, technical experiments pushed the limits of 90s filmmaking. What began as a noir puzzle became a maze of creative conflict, missed deadlines, and haunting design choices that still unsettled viewers. Dark City didn't just question reality, it nearly lost its own. How close did it come to collapse? What secrets lurked in its darkness? Prepare to uncover 20 secrets they tried to hide about Dark City. Shocking Secret 1. Stephen King's cocaine-fueled directorial debut. By 1986, Stephen King was unstoppable. His books ruled bestseller lists, and Hollywood couldn't adapt them fast enough. So when Maximum Overdrive came along, King decided to direct it himself. But behind his confidence hid chaos. King later confessed he was coked out of my mind the entire time, barely remembering parts of production. Scenes were rewritten on the fly, explosions ran unsupervised, and even the crew began to question who was in charge. The irony was chilling. A film about machines rebelling against humans, directed by a man losing control of his own creation. King later joked it was a moron movie, but the truth was darker. It reflected his personal unraveling. The chaos on screen wasn't cinematic flair. It was a mirror of the chaos behind the camera and of a storyteller who briefly became the villain of his own story. In the end, King didn't just direct a horror film, he lived one. Shocking Secret 2. The Green Goblin truck nearly killed someone. The film's most iconic villain wasn't human. It was a massive black semi-truck with the menacing face of Marvel's Green Goblin mounted on the front. But behind the scenes, that very truck nearly became a real killer. During one shoot, the mechanical rig malfunctioned and roared to life unexpectedly, barreling forward before anyone could react. Crew members dove out of the way, barely escaping what could have been a fatal disaster. Stephen King, already struggling to keep things under control, reportedly screamed at the crew to cut the damn power. The incident was never fully investigated, and the truck continued to be used for filming. The mechanical beast, fictionally possessed by machines, literally unsafe to operate, seemed cursed from the start. To the cast and crew, it was no longer just a prop. It was a monster. Sometimes the scariest thing on set isn't the story, it's the machinery meant to tell it. Shocking Secret 3. The crew called it the Machine Nightmare. What was supposed to be a straightforward shoot in North Carolina quickly turned into a production from hell. The cast and crew were sleep-deprived, overworked, and terrified of the unpredictable stunts. Explosions went off early, vehicles malfunctioned, and props designed to move on their own often did, without warning. Cameramen wore helmets. Extras refused to stand near machines. One crew member even quit mid-shoot, calling it the most dangerous set I've ever seen. But Stephen King pressed on, determined to finish his vision. Even seasoned producers whispered that the film was cursed. The atmosphere was so tense that several workers refused to watch the final cut, claiming it brought back nightmares. The chaos didn't just make it to the screen, it was the screen. What began as a film about mechanical rebellion became a rebellion of reality itself. Shocking Secret 4. AC/DC wasn't supposed to score the film. The thunderous soundtrack by AC/DC is one of Maximum Overdrive's most recognizable features, but the rock legends weren't the studio's first choice. Stephen King, a die-hard fan of the band, personally called them and begged them to compose the score. The result was Who Made Who, an album that outlived the movie itself. But behind the scenes, the collaboration wasn't smooth. The band didn't understand King's erratic directing process, and production delays forced them to record quickly between tours. Some members reportedly left sessions furious, calling the whole project insane. Yet somehow, their electrifying riffs gave the film its pulse, a chaotic symphony to match King's disarray. The irony? The music became more iconic than the movie it powered. In the wreckage of King's experiment, it was AC/DC that kept the engine roaring. Shocking Secret 5. The original ending was too dark to film. King's original ending wasn't supposed to be the somewhat hopeful escape seen in theaters. It was far bleaker. Early drafts described the survivors realizing the machines had completely taken over the world. Humans weren't just under attack, they were obsolete. The survivors' boat was supposed to be destroyed destroyed mid-sea by a military drone, leaving the ocean littered with corpses. The studio, horrified, demanded a rewrite. Even King admitted it might have been too grim for anyone to handle. Instead, they went with an ambiguous text epilogue, claiming aliens were behind it all. But that decision gutted the movie's deeper message about self-destruction and addiction. The real ending was lost, buried under studio fear and creative chaos. The story of mankind's fall was replaced by a safer illusion, and that's the real tragedy. Shocking Secret 6. King hired untrained stunt drivers. To make the vehicular chaos believable, Stephen King insisted on using real trucks, cars, and machinery in extreme stunts. But instead of professional stunt drivers, many of the operators were novices or semi-trained volunteers. During one shoot, a delivery truck missed its mark and narrowly missed hitting a camera crane, leaving everyone frozen in shock. King reportedly screamed, "Do it again, but faster," because he wanted authenticity over safety. The stunt team improvised on the spot, sometimes clambering onto moving vehicles without harnesses. Crew members often joked or feared that this film would be remembered as Maximum Overdrive, the real death edition. King's obsession with practical effects turned the set into a living nightmare, and while the footage looks thrilling on screen, it was a constant gamble behind the camera. The audacity of it all is almost unbelievable, given the dangers. In the end, the risks made every scene pulse with unintentional terror. Shocking Secret 7. Actors suffered severe heat. Exhaustion filming in the North Carolina summer wasn't just uncomfortable, it was brutal. Massive heat waves combined with heavy prosthetics, fake blood, and full costume work created extreme conditions on set. Actors fainted in the middle of scenes, and makeup artists struggled to keep up as prosthetics melted under the sun. One particularly intense day involved actors running from a burning truck while wearing flame-retardant suits. Several were treated for heat exhaustion afterward. Crew members recall carrying ice water for everyone constantly, and some even slept in the trucks between takes. King, despite witnessing the suffering, pushed forward with relentless intensity. The production became a test of endurance and mental resilience, more than an acting challenge. Actors described it as a trial by fire that left them drained but strangely bonded, sharing the unique experience of surviving a literal machine apocalypse under the blazing sun. Maximum Overdrive wasn't just a horror film, it was a physical ordeal. Shocking Secret 8. Real explosions went off without warning. King loved chaos, but sometimes it went too far. Multiple explosions were filmed practically, with real pyrotechnics rather than CGI. On more than one occasion, explosions occurred before the cameras were ready, sending debris flying dangerously close to actors and crew. One scene involved a gas station rig set to detonate for a climactic shot, but the timing misfired and scorched a portion of the set. Fortunately, no one was critically injured, though several received minor burns and cuts. King reportedly found the mishap thrilling, insisting the unplanned chaos added authenticity to the film. Crew members, however, weren't as excited, and rumors of the set being cursed began circulating. Every explosion had to be carefully choreographed afterward, though King often overruled safety protocols in favor of spontaneity. These real-life accidents blurred the line between horror fiction and production hazard. On Maximum Overdrive, reality was as dangerous as the story. Shocking Secret 9. Alien motives were never explained. The film's alien antagonist was a pivotal plot point, but King intentionally left the creature's motives vague. Early drafts described the aliens as feeding on human fear, controlling machines as an experiment. By the time filming wrapped, King had removed much of the exposition, leaving viewers with only scattered hints. This lack of explanation frustrated test audiences who demanded clarity. King refused, arguing that ambiguity would heighten the unsettling atmosphere, forcing audiences to imagine the worst. The aliens never speak, never fully appear, and their plan remains cryptic. Critics later lambasted the film for confusing storytelling, but King saw it as a deliberate choice. Fear of the unknown is far scarier than neatly explained evil. His method reflects the same terror experienced experienced by the human characters, disoriented, powerless, and endlessly hunted. The alien presence looms larger because it is undefined. The unknowable motives of the extraterrestrials made them far more terrifying than any exposition could. Shocking Secret 10. Many scenes were improvised. Stephen King's lack of filmmaking experience meant many scenes were created on the fly. Actors and crew frequently found themselves improvising lines, stunts, and camera angles mid-shoot. Trucks were driven spontaneously, dialogue was altered, and sometimes entire sequences were filmed without a script page in sight. King's instructions were often vague, leaving performers to invent their actions in real time. This unpredictability caused chaos, but also led to some unexpectedly brilliant moments. For example, one scene where trucks attack a diner was largely unplanned. The actors' terrified reactions were genuine. Critics later noted the film's uneven pacing and tone, but fans of cult cinema often cite these improvised sequences as the most thrilling. King's experimental approach blurred the line between film and real-life survival drama. Improvisation turned a low-budget disaster into a chaotic spectacle that no one could replicate. Shocking Secret 11. Real guns were used on set. To heighten the sense of realism, King insisted on using actual firearms for several scenes. Although they were loaded with blanks, the recoil and smoke were real, creating an authentic atmosphere. Some actors, unaccustomed to handling guns, flinched during takes, adding genuine terror to their performances. One scene involving a truck driver and a pistol went slightly off-script when an actor misfired, causing sparks to shoot toward a nearby camera. King reportedly laughed, claiming, "That's exactly the reaction I wanted." Safety officers were constantly on edge, fearing the potential for accidents. The decision added a visceral intensity to the film, but also made the set a pressure cooker of nerves and anticipation. The authenticity of real weapons blurred the line between acting and real fear. Shocking Secret 12. The movie was shot during a heat wave. Filming coincided with one of North Carolina's hottest summers in decades. The extreme temperatures created a nightmare for cast, crew, and machinery alike. Trucks overheated, cameras warped, and actors struggled in layers of costume and makeup. Extras fainted during long takes, and even King reportedly lost weight from dehydration. The heat made smoke, fire, and pyrotechnics dangerously unpredictable, forcing last-minute adjustments on set. Crew members recall moments when everyone had to scramble to cool off equipment before it melted or malfunctioned. The blazing sun added an unintended sense of realism to the apocalyptic chaos on screen. The sweltering heat intensified the film's chaotic energy, making every scene feel dangerously alive. Shocking Secret 13. King controlled the set with an iron fist. Stephen King, though a celebrated author, was a first-time director. On set, he ruled with complete authority, giving unconventional instructions and demanding extreme commitment. He often yelled over the roar of engines and explosions to ensure actors hit precise marks, sometimes ignoring safety suggestions. Crew members describe a tense atmosphere where even small mistakes could trigger intense frustration. His obsession with control extended to every detail, from props and lighting to the positioning of debris and cars. Actors were pushed to perform under high-stress conditions, often improvising in real time under his watchful eye. While this created tension, it also contributed to the raw, unpredictable energy of the film. King's authoritarian direction made the set as thrilling and terrifying as the movie itself. Shocking Secret 14. Machines were actually rigged to attack. Some of the on-screen machines were genuinely mechanized and dangerous. Trucks, vending machines, and other equipment were fitted with motorized components to move unpredictably. During filming, a malfunctioning truck rolled unexpectedly toward actors, narrowly missing them. Props that were supposed to stop automatically sometimes didn't, creating real panic on set. Stunt coordinators constantly recalibrated machines to avoid disaster, but King encouraged a level of spontaneity that made performers feel authentic. These mechanical hazards contributed to the unnerving sense that the machines were alive and sentient, blurring the line between fiction and reality. The real-world danger of these machines made every scene pulse with genuine terror. Shocking Secret 15. Budget constraints forced creative chaos. Despite the film's ambitious vision, King was limited by a relatively modest budget. Instead of CGI, he relied on practical effects, improvised stunts, and inventive camera angles to simulate destruction and chaos. Trucks were reused, sets were modified on the fly, and crew members were often asked to multitask, handling multiple departments simultaneously. This forced creativity resulted in some of the film's most iconic, chaotic sequences. While critics viewed these compromises as shortcomings, fans appreciated the gritty realism they produced. King's resourcefulness turned budget limitations into a defining stylistic choice that contributed to the film's cult status. Necessity became the mother of innovation, giving the movie a unique energy that can't be replicated. Shocking secret. 16. The opening scene almost killed the crew. The infamous opening scene with the trucks speeding down the highway was far more dangerous than it appears. Filming involved real trucks on live roads with minimal barriers. Crew members had to dodge moving vehicles, and stunt drivers were pushed to their limits. One nearly catastrophic moment occurred when a semi swerved unexpectedly, clipping a camera rig. Quick thinking by the crew prevented serious injuries, but the tension was palpable. King reportedly encouraged the chaos, claiming it would heighten realism, but some crew members feared for their lives. The adrenaline-fueled shoot left everyone exhausted, yet it produced one of the most unforgettable openings in horror history. The danger and near misses added authenticity that CGI could never replicate. Shocking secret. 17. Real explosions were used to give the film a visceral punch. Many explosions were real, not computer-generated. Pyrotechnics experts set off truck engines, fuel cans, and debris for maximum impact. On one set, a barrel of gasoline ignited too early, sending flames dangerously close to actors. Fortunately, everyone was unharmed, but it created genuine panic and fear. These live explosions added a layer of unpredictability that heightened the film's tension. King's insistence on practical effects over digital alternatives gave Maximum Overdrive its chaotic, raw energy. Crew members remember being on edge for every take, knowing that even a slight miscalculation could be disastrous. The real explosions made every moment feel unpredictable, terrifying, and alive. Shocking secret. 18. King wrote the script in a feverish rush. Stephen King famously wrote the Maximum Overdrive script in a manic, caffeine-fueled frenzy. He completed it in under 2 weeks, drawing inspiration from a storm that knocked out power near his home. King's frantic energy infused the story with an unrelenting pace, but some scenes were underdeveloped, forcing improvisation during filming. Actors were often caught off guard, reacting in the moment to King's instructions. While this rushed writing led to narrative inconsistencies, it also contributed to the film's raw, unpolished charm. The sense of chaos on screen mirrors the chaos of its creation, making it an unusual yet compelling entry in King's career. The film's rushed script became part of its signature intensity and cult appeal. Shocking secret. 19. Real injuries occurred during filming. Despite careful stunt coordination, multiple actors and crew members sustained real injuries. Broken bones, burns, and sprains were surprisingly common due to the unpredictable machinery and live explosions. King reportedly insisted that actors push through minor injuries to maintain the film's continuity. The stunt team was stretched thin, handling both mechanical hazards and physical risks. Some actors later admitted that fear of the machines contributed to genuinely convincing performances. While dangerous, these injuries lent authenticity to the characters' panic and desperation, creating a palpable tension that still resonates with audiences today. The real physical risk made fear feel tangible, amplifying the movie's horror factor. Shocking secret. 20. The film became a cult classic. Despite its infamy, Maximum Overdrive was critically panned upon release, labeled chaotic and over-the-top. However, over the years, fans have celebrated its audacious creativity, over-the-top energy, and audacious use of practical effects. Its flaws, rushed script, unpredictable machinery, and King's erratic direction became part of its charm. Midnight screenings, fan conventions, and horror retrospectives transformed it into a cult favorite. Today, Today, Maximum Overdrive is remembered not just as a film, but as a testament to Stephen King's wild imagination and the raw, unfiltered energy of 1980s practical horror. Despite initial criticism, the movie's bold chaos ensured it would never be forgotten. Dark City wasn't just a sci-fi noir. It was a question, a maze of memory, identity, and fear that dared audiences to doubt what was real. What began in darkness became a blueprint for modern psychological thrillers, inspiring countless stories about the fragile shape of reality. Maybe that's why it still haunts us, because it reminds us that truth and illusion are often one and the same. If this revealed a side of Dark City you never knew, share your favorite hidden secret in the comments. And don't forget to like and subscribe for more untold stories from the films that still keep us questioning. Remember, the night never ends.